Well, there are a number of techniques that I especially like, and one of them is complete breath. It's a yogic breathing, which is sometimes called Dirga breath in yoga. It's really a foundation piece to a lot of other of the exercises and practices that I recommend and suggest. So we'll start with that right now. It's important when you do this to always have a nice straight spine. So if you're standing as I am, you're going to have your feet hip width apart. Really feel the four corners of your feet on the floor. That's the two pads underneath the big toe and the little toe and the back two corners of the heel. And then you lift out of your waist so that you elongate the spine, reaching the top of your head up toward the ceiling. And then relax the shoulders downward. I like to teach this in 3 segments. So we think about our lungs as being like a balloon, or in this case, a Hoberman ball. And when we inflate from the bottom up as if you're blowing balloons. So when you're holding a balloon, you hold the end of it and you see it get bigger from the bottom all the way to the piece that's in your mouth. It's the same with our lungs. So the way that you can learn to do this is if you take your hands and put the middle fingers right at your navel, we're going to breathe just in the bottom third of the lungs. So it would look like this. Through the nose, inhaling, expanding. Exhale, and then the navel draws back to the spine. And then we work our way up. So we've done the lower belly, and then you can place your hand on the rib cage, because the beautiful part of our bodies is that the ribs have these wonderful little muscles in between them that allow them to stretch and expand as the lungs fill up. So you feel the belly go out in front, and the ribs are going to go out to the side. We're going to breathe up to the mid-chest. So it would look like this. And then finally, you have to go all the way up to the collarbones. And you can think about the breath coming up to the collarbones and then wrapping over the shoulders. So to feel that, that's a very subtle movement. The collarbones rise slightly as you inhale all the way up, as the sternum also rises a little bit. So you can either feel it by putting your fingertips at the top of the collarbone or on the sternum. So we're going to breathe from the bottom up, inhaling from the belly, ribs, chest, and then exhaling from the top down. So it'll look like this. At the bottom, the navel draws back to the spine. So if I were working with children, and even adults, I would have them breathe with me. With kids, I would not do this breaking it down unless they were over 8 years old, maybe 8 years or up. And so I would have them watch this as I breathe in. So they can think about this as if it were the lungs. It expands on the inhalation and then deflates on the exhalation. The breath is also three-dimensional, just like the balloon would be. So as one gets more accustomed to working with the breath, they can begin to notice how the back body should expand also on the inhalation, all the way up to the back where the shoulders are. So it's out and then in, out and in. With very young children, sometimes I'll have them on the floor with a little Beanie Baby on their belly, and let's take the Beanie Baby on a ride. Or you can use a little plastic boat, put it on there, and ride the waves. So if they have a partner with them, they can have an observer and a breather, and the breather's looking to see if that boat went up and down with the waves, or if the Beanie Baby went on a little ride. One of the techniques that I especially like working with is the spiral. This is a Blackline master from Creating the Peaceable Classroom. The spiral is an archetypal symbol of growth and transformation. And so to use this, you would just take your fingertip and slide it, glide it between the vines all the way to the center. And what's happening is that as you move to the center, you're bringing in your worries, your anxiety, your uneasiness, whatever the negative emotion is. You leave it in the center. You can pause and then you spiral out again. As you spiral out, you are then transformed to being more at ease, more quiet. This particular spiral and the labyrinth both are useful with kids who have problems with test anxiety. If they have worries, if there's a young child who's upset because mom or dad is away for a week on a business trip and they're missing them, they can take their sadness and leave it into the center. So it works with kids, it works with adults. The idea is that you take whatever's bothering you into the center, you leave it there, you come out in a new way, in a better way, so that you can function better. You can think more clearly, you can be a better learner, you can be a more effective teacher. This is a double labyrinth. It's called an Intuit path, and it's a wonderful tool to either work with a child working by him or herself, or you can use it as a teacher working with a student across from you. What they do is they'll take their pointer finger on both fingers and they follow the path at both sides at the same time. And the interesting thing about this is that you're crossing the midline, which helps the brain hemispheres communicate with each other, so that kids or adults can think more clearly and do better in their work. So crossing the midline is like when you think about the pathway, the corpus callosum between the two hemispheres. This is what this is activating. It's helping that communication between both sides of the brain as you circle in and around. And of course the idea is you've got to go slowly enough to stay in the path. Anytime you work with a spiral or a labyrinth, the idea is to go slowly, not fast. Children, however, like to go fast. So if you choose to use the Black Line Masters or even this Intuit path, you would want to give them a time to play with it and go as fast as they want, and then say, okay, now we have to slow down, take our time so that we can make it work for us. If you'd like to know more about my book, there are several places you can get that information. One of them is at the Hobblebush Books website. That's www.hobblebush.com. Also, I have a page on Facebook, Creating the Peaceable Classroom, and my own personal website, www.peaceablepathways.com. You can find out more about my workshops and what they contain.